Everybody, welcome. We are in a series called A Man After God's Own Heart, the life of David in the Bible. And we are going to go to 2 Samuel chapter number 3 today. Quick recap from the last few parts, few days. Saul is now dead, Jonathan is dead, and Abner, Saul's captain of the host, has put Ishbosheth, another son of Saul, in place on the throne for Israel, but David has been made king of Judah. And so these two kingdoms are running parallel one to the other. God wants David to be the king of all Israel, but Abner here is in the works. Something else to remember from yesterday is that, excuse me, making sure my mic here is working. There we go. One thing to remember is that Abner killed the brother of Joash and I think Abishai. And we see today that there's going to be some retribution for that. We talked about the fact that there is animosity between David's men led by Joab and Ishbosheth's men led by Abner. So if you can follow along in your Bible, go to 2 Samuel 3 with me. So far, we've also only found out about 3 of David's wives. The first one was Michal, but she was taken from him by Saul. And then he married a woman named Ahinoam, and then he married Abigail. So those were his 2 wives, but we're about to find out that during these years in Hebron, where he's the king of Judah, he accumulates a few more wives and begins to have children with them. Verse number 1 of 2 Samuel 3, Now there was long war between the house of Saul, that's Abner and his guys, and the house of David, that's Joab and his guys. Pardon me, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. So as long as this battle raged, David increased in strength, Saul decreased in strength. And unto David were sons born in Hebron, and the firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess. And we know Amnon, if you know anything about the story of David, he's the one who assaulted his half-sister Tamar. And his second, Kileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. We don't know anything about Kileab. And the third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. And we know Absalom. Absalom rebels against David. And the fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. And we know Adonijah as well. He's going to try to take the throne in place of Solomon. And the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. We don't know anything about Shephatiah. And the sixth, Ithream by Eglah, David's wife. So look at all these different wives in here. Ahinoam and Abigail, and then Maacah, and then Haggith, and then Abitai, and then Eglah. So 6 more wives, not counting Michal there. So 7 wives with Michal. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And so Abner is really building up his own little kingdom here, and he's working to elevate himself. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth, that's Saul's son, remember, who's reigning, said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? So Abner crossed a line and broke a boundary. The concubines of the former king were to be left in a state of widowhood. They were not to be then taken on by another man. And Abner decides, I'll do what I want to do, and I'm going to take Rizpah and make her mine. So Ishbosheth calls Abner out on it. And notice, whenever power starts to get to people's heads, you can't ask them about what they're doing. You can't call them out. You can't correct them. You can't even inquire without their pride showing up. And that's what happens here in verse 8. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth. So Abner's angry. How dare you talk to me about Rizpah? He says, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David? that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? He says, buddy, Ishbosheth, you need to understand something here. I've only done good for you. I could have turned you over to David, but I didn't do that. I've only been good for you. So do God to Abner and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. And so he says, if I have to prove myself to you, I will. I'll go kill David, and if I don't kill David, well, then maybe God will just kill me. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel, and over Judah from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again because he feared him. He said, I could just let David take over this whole place if I really wanted to. And so now Ishbosheth is afraid of Abner because he knows that Abner has a bit more guts than he has, and he has a bit more political power and pull than he has. And so he has no choice but to distance himself from him. So let's see what Abner decides to do in light of all this. Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, meaning Ishbosheth's behalf. So he's going to misrepresent Ishbosheth to David, saying, whose is the land? Saying also, make thy league with me. And behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. So Abner sends a message to David saying, hey, I want to turn the kingdom over to you. I think you should be the rightful ruler of Israel, and so I'm going to let you do it. Let's make a league together. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. And so David responds to Ishbosheth, says, I want Michal back in my life. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. It was actually 200, but 100 was all that Saul required. And Ishbosheth sent, and this is a little bit humiliating for this guy and comical too. He took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish. Remember, Saul, Ishbosheth's father, gave Michal to Phaltiel, and now Ishbosheth takes her away from him now. And look at this, verse 16. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, go, return. And he returned. So this poor guy, the king comes, takes his wife from him to give her back to her previous husband. And when the king comes and gets her, he just walks behind her, crying the whole way. And when they arrive, the king, Ishbosheth, says, go home, Phaltiel, and he leaves and goes home. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it. For the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So now Abner's acting the traitor. He's selling out Ishbosheth. He's going to the elders of the land. He's reminding them of God's promise to the Israelites that David would be the one. And he's basically taking the kingdom out from underneath of Ishbosheth. And he even calls out to David, and he says, I'll help you establish David as the king of all Israel. So Abner came to David to Hebron. So he's coming for this meeting, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So this is all very interesting, and there are some people that make some inferences based on what is happening here. Is Abner selling out Ishbosheth? Is Abner trying to undermine David here. And personally, I think Abner's undermining Ishbosheth because of Ishbosheth calling him out regarding Rizpah. And so he's coming with these 20 men. David makes a feast for him, and he welcomes them in. And Abner says, we're going to help you get the whole kingdom. And after dinner, David sends Abner away. Now, verse 22, Joab's not going to like any of this. Behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. So Joab and some men had been out fighting a battle. They got a good number of spoils from it, and they bring it back, and Abner's already gone. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he hath sent him away, and he is gone in peace. So they fill Joab in. Hey, you're not going to believe who you just missed. Abner was here. And they ate with the king, and the king gave him his blessing as he left. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. So Joab goes in and calls David out. Now remember, when Abner called out Ishbosheth, Ishbosheth becomes fearful of Abner, and Abner's pride rose up. Joab, he's a little more loyal than Abner. Joab thinks that he knows that Abner's trying to undermine David, so he's looking out for David. He's trying to protect David. David doesn't respond with fear. He doesn't respond with anger. He doesn't respond at all. And so Joab, angry and frustrated, sends some messengers to go find Abner and bring him back. And then verse 27, and when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly. So, hey, Abner, hello, Joab. Hey, come over here. I need to talk to you for a second. And he pulls him aside privately, and Joab smote him there under the fifth rib. Now, if you remember yesterday, Abner smote Asahel under the fifth rib, and that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. So Joab exacts vengeance on Abner for killing his brother Asahel. Now David does not know that this is happening. He has not ordered this to happen. He's not behind it in any way. Verse 28, and afterward when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. So David declares his innocence. I didn't have anything to do with this. And remember, David doesn't go about seeking vengeance. David doesn't go about trying to make right those who have wronged him. He doesn't try to go out and kill his enemies. He didn't kill Saul, and he didn't kill Ishbosheth. And so now David puts the blame where it's supposed to lie. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house. And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. So David pronounces a bit of a curse on Joab and his family. He says that there should not one fail that hath an issue, that'd be a disease, or that is a leper, we know leprosy and that disease, or that leaneth on a staff, paraplegic, cripple, or that falleth on the sword, committing suicide, or that lacketh bread, someone who's poor and impoverished. So David pronounces this horrible curse, not that it had any magical capabilities, but simply, I hope only bad things happen to this man's family. That's tough talk. So, verse 31, David calls Joab out. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, "Rend your clothes, and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner." And King David himself followed the bier. The bier, B-I-E-R, that's a casket, or, the coffin. So David orders Joab, the one who killed Abner, to mourn for the man that he killed. And David himself follows the funeral procession. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. David is heartbroken because, again, he loved Saul. He loved King Saul, and this is one of Saul's sons. And so he mourns the loss of this man. And the king lamented over Abner and said, "Died Abner as a fool dieth? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before wicked men, so fellest thou." He said, and all the people wept again over him. And so David announces that Abner should have known better than to trust Joab. When those messengers came and said, "Hey, Joab wants to see you," and he came back, and Joab said, "Hey, come on over here." He knew he had killed Joab's brother Asahel, but he didn't think that Joab would seek revenge. Yet that's the kind of man Joab was. Verse 35, "And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down." So David is fasting as he mourns the death of Ishbosheth, even when people, not Ishbosheth, Abner, even when people are saying, "King, you need to eat something," he said, "I'm not going to eat, not today." And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. David was one that people admired and looked to for leadership. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. David could have made it politically expedient to kill Abner himself, and to use that to take Ishbosheth out of Israel. But he doesn't do that. Because of the two, Ishbosheth and Abner, Abner is much stronger individual, but he doesn't do that at all. He instead lets things be. David let God fight his battles. David never stood up for himself. David never sought revenge. David never took the lives of those who were key players in pursuing him. He just let God keep score. Verse 38, "And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me." That's Abishai and Joab. David says, these guys, I'm not like them. They are warriors in a sense that I am not. I'm a great fighter, I'm a great general, I'm a great soldier, and I've had my share of bloodshed, but I don't do what these guys do. "The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness." And we're calling this one David's Gentleness Revealed. I think that's how I titled it. And it certainly is much, much different than what we see often in political leaders even today. So there it is. That's David's gentleness revealed through the death of Abner and distancing himself from Joab and Asahel. No, Asahel's dead. Abishai. That's it. All right. That's chapter number 3 of 2 Samuel. The saga continues. Keep in mind, Ishbosheth is still leader of Israel. David is still leader of Judah and Hebron, but we're seeing this come together a little bit more. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.